My name is Toini. I'm 30 years old, a married woman. We got married on the 14th of Feb 2020. My husband was married before and he had kids before, but unfortunately the wife passed on. And then I took in the kids and I stay with my kids. So we are a blended family. Now my husband is a caring husband, a family guy. We traveled together, loving guy. Everything was so well, everything was good at home. My kids were fine, everything was fine. We'll go home, now the village in the north, and spend some time with my family, and everything was really well. Until last year, let me say 2023 in February, when I had a strange dream about somebody giving me a black powder, and I remember so well that I did took the powder in the dream, and I don't remember how the person looked like. I can't remember, but I know it's somebody that gave me powder. And since then, things were just going south. Because before that, my husband was working in Oranjemund, and then we would see each other sometimes after 2 months, sometimes shorter than that. And sometimes I would drive down to Oranjemund. But then we had prayers point, like for him to get a job where we can be together more often, and me to get permanent. And that's what happened. I got permanent. And then he got his dream job now where he is right now in the BS. And then he will spend 1 month home and the other one on the sea. So everything was well until that day when I had that dream. Let me say maybe after 10 days, that's where things started going south. My husband went for training in South Africa, came home. I remember it was even around our anniversary because it's Feb last year, where he was telling me all the good things. Everything was so fine. Let me just say it was close to a perfect marriage. When he came home, I always give him feedback because we have kids together. So I would tell him about how they are performing at school, how is the sports or additional things that they are doing. I always keep him posted until we had a fight or an argument, a disagreement that we had when I gave him feedback on one of our son's progress, and that had to go through some sort of therapy. And it was, for me, I took it as if it was a small argument, but it have cost us or me my marriage. So he started blaming me for this and blaming me for other things, and it was just back and forth. And then because of the stress, he decided he want to go to Ludretz. We have a house in Ludretz, and that's where we stay when we are on holiday sometimes if we don't travel out somewhere. So we'll go to Ludretz. And then he left, I think after 3 days or 2 days there. Then I got a message where he's like he cannot take it anymore. He cannot continue with the marriage. He want out. He want a divorce. And it just came as a message. I was heartbroken. I was shattered. I couldn't believe it because I didn't understand. We had a small argument, and then my husband decided to run away. It didn't really make much more sense, and then he just started blaming me for even unnecessary things or small things. And then he sent me that message. I couldn't process it that time. I was still like, we need to talk, because it didn't make sense. He stayed in Ludres for a while, and then it was his time now to go back to work, back on the sea, because he didn't stay home that time. He just decided to go to Ludres and come home so he get his flight and go back. Then he went back. Then it was back and forth. yeah, it was back and forth and back and forth. By that time, I was still like trying so hard so that I can just fix my marriage. But before I go to the marriage, I also just want to give you a brief that after that dream, also with my kids, they were, I can say they were possessed, because they were having funny characters that will always happen. They don't sleep peaceful. I can say my youngest son was seeing someone coming, because he will always refer, she is coming, but I don't know who is she. And he is scared. You can see somebody that is even moving up the bed because they are scared something is coming, maybe towards them or coming in the room. So he's young, he couldn't explain that. My older son will be hitting the wall non-stop, as if he's hitting something, and you can, it's not even a hand like this, it was more like a fist hitting. No, somebody that is maybe stabbing something. That's how the action was. And then sometimes the girl would just talk to someone or something, and then, oh, do you want us to go to the kitchen? And then you walk out of the room holding that someone or something. And then if you follow, sometimes she will mumble some words, and sometimes she just stand there and then turn back, or she just stand there like a person, but you can see she's sleeping, but yet she's still like having maybe connection with this spirit or person. I don't even know what to call. And then with all that happening, it took quite, let me say, a month that these things were happening. And during that time, I also decided to look for spiritual help. When I say spiritual, I went to church. I just for advice, because I was in that desperation mode where I just wanted my marriage back. I wanted my husband back. I wanted my house to be filled with love. I wanted my kids to be fine. So I went to some spiritual leaders, and then I gave them my story. This is what is happening. And then I got some advice of, yeah, it can just be me and my kid. I should leave the other kids. And that was not really sitting well with me, because it's inhuman. I've known these kids since they were like at a very young age. I met, the girl was 2 years, the boy was turning 4 that year. No, she was actually not 2 years. But yeah, so I cannot just leave them to go where? To go where can they start a new life with a new mother? I cannot just throw them away. So then I was moving from one church to the next, and then, you know, sometimes we look for certain things in church, and I couldn't get that peace. But then something, I don't want to call it strange, because it's actually a beautiful thing. 2021, I used to fellowship with Pastor Alina, and I remember there are days that I will drive up now, when in the midst of everything, where I would just drive up. I want to go back to Pastor Alina, but I was afraid. I was scared that I would be judged. She was here. By that time that I was there, I was not born again. I was just going for fellowship because I have to. I didn't have a purpose to pursue God. I'll just sit in, I'll make friends here and there. I go back to my normal life. But this time it was a thing where, you know, when a child misses home, they start thinking more home. né? So that time I would drive as if I'm going to the church, to Pastor Alina's church, and then I'll just go till halfway and then I turn back, I go home. Just because of that fear of what will they say? What if they say, yeah, she was here, now she's coming back just because she's having these problems. But also that time, I was in that desperation mode. And it was also the time that I noticed or realize that I'm expecting. So yeah, and also out of desperation, I remember searching some pages, where you find people selling herbs to fix their marriages, to attract men or to attract rich men and stuff. And I remember one night telling myself that I'm surely going to follow this page. I'm going to buy my things and then maybe my husband can come back home. But there was something that was blocking me, and I believe that was God showing me that no, that doesn't work, because that is witchcraft, and there is an expiry date when it comes to witchcraft. There is anything that has nothing to do with God, there is actually an expiry date. But one thing that stands strong out of anything is His word, and His word will always stand. So I didn't go to a point where I contacted these people or called them, now the people with the herbs and whatnot, because of that condition that I got. So I decided that it's okay. I'm going back home. I'm going to Pastor Alina. I'll start fellowshipping again. And when I started going there, okay, let me just take you back. I told you that I was expecting, and I did. Of course, people now wonder, your husband told you that he wanted divorce and now you are pregnant. But then how did that work? Of course, it was a bit sad, because when I told him that, he was not quite well convinced, because on the other hand, I'm sure he was thinking that my wife is just making up a story now to keep us together. But it was really that fact that I was pregnant. And then, yeah, it was back and forth, but later on, he just have to live with that, but not coming back to the marriage. He still just wanted out, whether there's a kid or not. In that time also, I was depressed. I was so depressed that I'll go to work. I'll maybe spend 10 minutes in the office, and then I go lock myself in the car, and then I just sleep. Sometimes I'll lock myself in the office, and then I'll just sit under the table crying. It was sad. People can come knock, people can come call me. I don't even talk to people at work. I don't even see the importance of my purpose of life anymore at that stage. I was so depressed. And then there were nights, that the sad night that I always remember is a night that I stood up and I wanted to take a knife just to kill my kids. And this was because I felt like this man is putting me through this pain, and I just wanted him to feel that pain. I just wanted him to know that I am heading to that extent. So I wanted him to live with the guilt, to say, my wife killed my kids because of what I did to her. So it was really things, the devil was really busy with me, telling me all these things, telling me that I'm not good enough, telling me I'm a bad mother. And then I just wanted to end everything, because these voices keep on coming, and you start feeling bad about yourself. You even start blaming yourself for this divorce proposal that is now on the table. And we went to that extent of where one morning he had to drop me to work, and we are even talking about lawyers, and I was even searching lawyers for the divorce and what. So that's how worse it was. That's how deep we went. And when I started, when I went back to church, I didn't share my story. People didn't know what I was going through, but still it's a thing where you are like, if I tell this one, then maybe they are just going to share my story with everyone. But that was not it. So I will be at church, but I'm not even that free. You are in a place, but you are still like, maybe they know what is happening, they know. But it wasn't that. And I was more asking God to save my marriage. I was asking God just for him to bring my husband home. But it was never about me finding my salvation or me working on myself or me glorifying God for who He is or for His greatness. It was just about my marriage. And I just wanted my marriage to be fixed. So I didn't find, or I didn't see a point where I should ask God to heal me, because even that, it's not like I was a perfect wife. I was not a perfect wife. I was a wife that was having so much pride, a wife that will always just say, Miss Right. I was the right one. My husband was never right. Whatever I say in the house goes. Whatever I want, then that's what I want. It didn't matter whether he was not supporting it. It didn't matter whether it was hurting people. It was just my way. And so I also needed healing. I needed to give my life to Jesus. I needed to find that peace where I should not use God to fix only my marriage and then I move back in my comfort zone. No, it was a way that I must focus on Him, seek Him in truth, and then if that marriage was meant to be, then it will come, it will be added. That's what His word also said in Matthew chapter 6 verse 33. That's what it, seek His kingdom and all other things can be added. That's what He said to us. But for me now, it was not like that. I was seeking other things, not His kingdom. And other things include now my marriage. That was the main thing. And He will come home because they always fly them in Windhoek, and then he will maybe come spend 2 to 3 days and then he leave. So in those 3 days that we are together, it's like we don't even know each other. It's like two strangers. It's like, and I remember he will always stay up till late to avoid coming in our bedroom. So he will stay up till late and then he will come, but it's like two strangers, two complete strangers that don't even know each other. We had nothing to talk about in common, and I could see that he, during that time, he was also maybe depressed because he was not the person I met. He was now drinking too much. He will move up and down unnecessarily, just in the house, moving in circles. But I could see that he was also not that free. And one time he just told me like, no, I'm leaving. I am going to Lutretz. And then I'm also thinking of going to visit my family and whatnot in South Africa. And then he just left. I asked him for something because now with the kids and everything, I have to do everything myself. And he's like, no, I'll give you this small amount that he gave me. And then he left. So yeah, then he left. He went to SA. He just told me that I shouldn't call him, I shouldn't text him. And that's what I did. Because at the end of the day, what is the point of you trying to fix something when even you yourself is broken? So I needed to be fixed first, and then I can then work on my marriage. Fine, then he went. Then it was still just a quiet moment, no texting until he came back, because now he had to come back for one of the kids' birthdays, and yeah. But even during that time, it's a thing where I put everything in God's hand. That was my time, the time that I really noticed that it's my time to work on me. That was also a time that I decided and my focus changed, because I was still going to church. I'm having a strong force where you are supported by the words, by fellowship, by worshiping, and just enjoying the greatness of God, than me focusing on the marriage. That was the time that I also found peace, and also just the courage to forgive. I've made peace with my marriage. I have made peace at home, because that time my kids are also not getting attacked anymore, because it's time that we were praying together, we were talking about this thing. And I remember it's a testimony that I also once shared in church with the situation for my kids, because after that my kids could sleep, my kids could be happy. Sometimes when these things are happening, even when they wake up, the kids are not that happy. They are sometimes tired, and sometimes they will stay up late because I know they are scared to go to sleep. So that's a time that I decided that, you know what, God, if this marriage is for me, it will come back. You restore everything. And in that time, I also just decided that I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to serve him in truth. Because that time it was not in truth. I was doing it for my marriage. But this time it has to do with me. I don't want to be that same woman that have so much pride. I don't want to be the Miss Right every time. And for me, that time, I felt like I'm the best woman. I'm the perfect woman that any guy would want, because I felt like I don't drink alcohol. I am somebody that can even take care of the kids and things like this. I felt like, I'm a perfect woman. But there was something that was lacking, because the Bible said we are nothing without him. And I was nothing, but that time I thought I was something, until I decided to follow Jesus. Then I'm like, I was actually a sinner. I was living a life of sin. I was living in my own world, and I had to get out of that. And that's what I did. I started doing my investigation. I started going through my husband's emails. If he is around, sometimes I'll even just check his phone. And I did this all because things didn't make sense to me. It cannot just be a small argument, or maybe to me it's a small argument, but to him it's a big one, I don't know. But and then you just decide that you want a divorce. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't even just give me a reason to accept that it was really just because of that. So I started doing this and checking his phone, checking his emails. That's when I noticed that he was engaging in a relationship with somebody else. And it was so sad. But yet I didn't attack him or did this to attack him and tell him, no, this and this is what you are doing. Because that time I already moved my focus to God for my own salvation. And I remember there will be days that when I told him that he doesn't have to lie to me anymore, I already know everything. And sometimes I'll even say, God showed me everything. God showed me that you are busy with this. And so I'll make a joke, because it was not even taking my joy anymore, that stage, because I had given my life to Jesus. And I became born again that time. So it didn't take a toll on me back in depression or whatnot. I left that for God to do the fixing for me. I just needed to focus on him, and that's what I did. And I remember even like at the beginning when things started going worse, I was convincing him, can we just go for counseling? But for him, he didn't want even me to talk about counseling. He said he doesn't have a problem. I have a problem. And that time I would just take it like, maybe I am the problem. But I was not the problem, because I just confirmed now only later, that the problem was actually the other woman that was in the picture. But even that time, I could see my husband was not himself. There was something wrong. So I would just keep him in my prayers, but he knew also that I knew the truth. Until the time that, because they still have to fly him in Windhoek, so that he can now come home, or maybe go to Ludrach, or maybe South Africa when he wants to. In that one time, he just gave me a compliment. I had a dress on. phone because I was pregnant, and then he just gave me a compliment. And that was the first compliment I can say in 3 months or 4 months, that he didn't even like look at me. He will look at me, but from a distance. He will not just come and say you are dressed proper or you look nice or what. He wasn't in that state of telling me that I'm looking good, I'm beautiful or what. No, it was just two strangers that are. And then he will make comments like, "Oh no, you look good." And I think that was also the time that for some reason he just said that he wanted to try again. I was in shock, because usually these things just don't happen that fast. But God is a mercy God. God is a just God. And then he just said he wanted to try again. And I was now thinking, okay, there was the other woman. What now? No, he said, no, he just wanted us to try again to fix the marriage. He went back, and then he still had contact with the other lady. And that time I didn't have access to his phone, but I still had access to the emails. And I decided, okay, let me not check further, because now I know the truth. If he's coming home and he's willing to try, then he will come. If he doesn't want, it's okay. And I can say somewhere in September, after now he stayed for a month on the sea, then he came back home. I told him about the counseling at Rock Lodge for the marriage seminar, and he agreed. I was in shock, because this is a person that said he didn't have a problem. All of a sudden he agreed to join me for this marriage seminar. And then he is even the one who paid the fees, because usually if he doesn't want to do something, he'll be like, okay, then you cover, I'm not going to cover. But now in that moment he sent me money, I paid, booked, and everything was done. And then when he came home from the sea, he also just said, no, he's done, he's coming back home, he loves me. And in that time I'm like, thanks God, he saved my marriage, because he is telling me that he's coming home. And since that time he never had access or chance to call the other woman or talk to them. He was done. He's home. Then we went for that marriage seminar, still pregnant, but I could see it really worked wonders, because it's godly based counseling, not just any counseling. Because most of the times when you go to counseling and then you tell them the man is treating you like that, the first thing they will tell you, you have to know your value. You as a woman, you cannot let a man treat you like that. Get out of that marriage. They will tell you, pursue your divorce or whatever. Not you hardly find like nowadays counseling where you get that you can try working out things. In most cases, that's why our divorce rate is also just going high, because we don't have that thing of try to fix something. And also what I've noticed with us nowadays, like for me in that time of desperation, I was thinking of going for that herbs and just to win my husband back. And most of the people are still doing that. Instead of us running to God, we run to darkness. And then when you run to darkness, it's something that is temporary. But when you follow God, or when you decide to go to God, He will not chase you. He will not ask you about sins that you did 30 years, 40 years, 10 years back. No, He will. If you ask for forgiveness, God doesn't remember your other things before that. He will take you as you are. And yeah, that's how God saved my marriage. Now I can say I'm in a happy place. I really want to thank God, because He saved me. He saved me from my dark places where I was just living in my own world. He saved my marriage. He saved my home. No, I thank Him, because my kids at this stage, they are sleeping peaceful. My kids are even also following me. We go fellowship together. I'm serving God with my kids. And I'm hoping that my husband will join me in the future in this journey of serving God. And also that I thank Him because even when I was so depressed, God saved my baby. I gave birth to a healthy, bouncing baby. Other people, due to depression, they can have a miscarriage or something can happen and stuff like that. But God carried me all through everything, the midst of everything I went through. I have a scripture that I want to share with married people. And the scripture is from Mark chapter 3 verse 25 that says that a house divided can never stand. And in most cases, this is a problem that even I had in my marriage before, because it's either my way, I didn't consider him. And now this is to encourage us, married people, married couple, that you need to work together. Because if you don't work together, then your house can trouble down. Your house can fall. And when it falls, without God, you cannot make it stand again. That's my advice to them. My second one will be on listening to right voices. By that I mean, like, as I told you, for me, I went to different churches seeking help so that God can restore my marriage. But then there was a voice within me that was telling me that is not the right voice, and then I have to move until I listen to the right one. You have to seek for a place where your heart find peace, a place that is filled with the Holy Spirit, a place that, because most of us, what we are doing now, we look for churches for deliverance. I get delivered from whatever problems I have, and then I continue the normal life. Continue drinking, continue fornicating, continue in all these immoralities. But if you are seeking God, then you have to seek Him in truth. And if you seek Him in truth, the Holy Spirit will guide you to the right place where you can serve Him. Thank you.